Hi, I'm Oliver. Welcome to today's book discussion. So today I'm talking about a semi-recent book, so Stephen King, Under the Dome. And if you've heard about it recently, though, it's because it's being turned into a CBS TV series that's supposed to premiere at the end of the month of June 2013. And let me tell you, after I've read the book, I can't wait! I can't wait! So if you haven't read the book, just pick it up already. Pick it up already and give it a try. You'll be rewarded greatly, trust me. So, and some of the casting news is already out, so you can look which actor plays who, so that when you read the book, you can visualize the right character. I would like to do that. Anyway, so why did I pick up this book? I just love Stephen King. I've read plenty of Stephen King books, especially back in high school. I was known as the Stephen King kid. I've read them. I've read them all. I've read. Post high school, I stopped reading altogether, so I haven't really kept up with his recent releases. I would say that I've read the Tome 6 and 7 of the Dark Tower series, and that's pretty much it in terms of new release in the past 10 years or so. I bought the 4.5 book of the Dark Tower series that he released, I think, last year, but I haven't read it yet. So I bought Under the Dome 2 or 3 years ago. It's been sitting in my bookshelves forever, and what motivated me into reading it was the fact that it was being turned into a series. I had a friend at work, shout out to Alice, hey, who was pushing me to read it, and I'm always like, oh, I'm not in the mood, I'm not in the mood, I'm not in the mood. Why did I not listen to her? Why? So don't make the same mistakes I did. I'm telling you to read this book, read it. Just do, read it. So when I finally started to read it, I got tired of bringing it to work after like 2 days. I think I was on page 100 or a little bit over 100, and I just decided to buy it on my Kobo. It's a 1,000 pages book. It's a journey. And it was just heavy. So I was like, oh, screw that. Let's go with the good old Kobo. Now, what is the story about? So, not surprisingly, it takes place in Maine. Not surprisingly, it takes place into a small town. And it's the story about how the city gets trapped under a dome. That's it. You know the story. There's no more to it than that. That's the premise, and that's pretty much how the novel goes. It's a town trapped under a dome. So the dome is, you can go in and out of it. There's a little bit of air, but water not really goes through, and certainly people and objects cannot go through the dome. So it then gets into the story of how the outside world tries to break the dome, and how the people inside the dome are struggling to stay calm. And also how to get rid of the dome, because they need to be proactive into getting rid of the dome as well. So, that's the story. Now, when I started reading, you open it, and I remember when I read the book, you have a map, but the map, is not really that relevant to me. But what is sort of relevant, I don't know if you can see, so see, this is the list of character. All of that, so that's at the 1% mark on my Kobo, and you're bombarded by this list, and I just went, holy crap, Yes, there's a lot of characters. It's sprawled different points of view. I'm used to reading books with such a big cast. Look no further than the Mars trilogy by Kim Stanley Robinson, which had like 75 characters. So I'm used to it. There were some times where I had to think just for a second about who is this person again, but I never had to go back to the beginning, and I was never lost per se. I could always very easily find my way back. because the story is always told through the first person, but the first person perspective shifts constantly between all the different characters, including the dogs. So yes, at one point we're in a dog's mind, of course. Thank you, Mr. King. Thank you. So that was the gist of it, right? The city trapped under a dome. What is it really about? It's a story about power struggle. That's it. Who has the power? Who wants the power? Who wants to get rid of the power? Who abuses the power? Who is being abused by the power? It's in all types of things. So, you know, it's about how everybody's also, the outside world is powerless to the people under the dome, etc. So, that's it. Now I'm gonna get into a very spoilery discussion of specific plot points. First, you're warned, spoilers alert. But I mean, that's a discussion, right? So let's discuss the book. First, Stephen King has created the most vile, repugnant, malicious, evil, disgusting, infuriating character in the entire history of writing. Ever since mankind has been able to put pen to paper, never has there been such a character. Ever. Yes. And I will stand by it as of now. January 20th, 2013. The most vile character ever created is Big Jim from the Under the Dome novel by Stephen King. There. If for no other reason, pick up this book. Just for that. Granted, you might want to throw this book, but because it's great. Because it's a first-person novel. We know his thought process, and we know how manipulative he is. So we know how he's pulling strings, how he's, that's, on one hand, it's fascinating how he holds the town in the palm of his hands. It's unbelievable. Now, why is he evil? He's running the biggest meth lab in the United States, in that small town in Maine. So he sees the opportunity of the dome about, holy crap, you know, the President of the United States, like everybody is just intrigued or is going to want to investigate the town once the dome is destroyed or goes away. So he knows that he'll be in big trouble. So he doesn't care about the dome. He likes that the dome is there. It gives him an opportunity to get rid of the meth lab problem that he created in the first place. Oy. Now, it's about power, okay, yeah. So it's about power from him, mainly. How he doesn't want to let go of the power, and so there's that. How he'll do anything to keep the control, including killing people. He kills so many people. It's horrible. Everything's great, everybody serves a purpose. The story flows beautifully, it switches perspective all the time. It has a breather when it needs to. There's action picks up when it needs to, so it's great. Now on to the flaws. Or actually another great thing, maybe not all of you will think this is great, but I think this is great. Big Jim is a big fan of God. Oh yes, this manipulative evil person in charge of the biggest meth lab in America is very Jesus-y. Oh, all of his actions are, of course, a gift from Jesus. He didn't kill that person. He just sent that person next to Jesus, and then tonight, that person is eating it at Jesus' table in heaven, of course. And the meth lab is undercover from a radio Christian music station, and the person in charge, or the person who's actually doing the meth, goes bonkers and then says that he is the warrior of God and that it is God's will that the meth lab keeps going, that if anybody wants to come and shut down the meth lab, he's to kill them, because that's God's will. And of course, there's a woman, a reverend, who questions God. The only saint person? Yes, the only saint person. Anyway, so that discourse of religion amongst all of those things, how we, how some people seek religion, right? How when something bad happens to us, it's a test. So there's this debate, which was entirely believable to me. If something's tragic, a lot of people will turn to church and religion for it. So that was a nice touch, and yet, greatly handled. In terms of things that I did not like, where there were mainly things that sort of did not pan out. One of the things that children, once the dome falls, starts to have vision about how the great pumpkin is going to come on Halloween, how there's going to be a great fire on Halloween, and, I was thinking, ooh, whoever is doing the dome, is sending those visions to those kids to warn them about what's coming. As it turns out, the big fire in question has absolutely nothing to do with the people who put the dome into place. So it's as if you have the dome on one hand and then the premonition on the other side, which seems to be linked with the dome, but aren't at all. So I was disappointed by that. The other thing that disappointed me was the faith of Big Jim. Now, I'm going to take a stand and say I'm not for death penalty. And if you ask me why, the reason is I don't find it a punishment big enough. Yes, put that person in a cell, solitary confinement for like 50, 60, 70 years. That's punishment. Having him die, to me, is sort of him getting off scot-free, and yeah. And that's what happens with Big Jim. He sort of dies at the hand of no one. So it's not even like a brutal killing of vengeance or what, no. I was disappointed by that. And what creates the dome, why not bad, I'm still a little bit ambivalent about how it was treated. Like once you know the source, you're like, okay, plausible. I don't know. I would have liked if it had been God. I would have liked that, but it wasn't. And the book is great. The characters, I mean, no one writes man character like Stephen King. Like you read, like these are all Stephen King men. Like you read them and you're like, oh, I love them, man. So, they're just manly guys. It's great. It's perfect. And it's the first time that I read it's the first time that I read a Stephen King book that takes place in Maine, that I read the book in English. Because the only other book in English that I read from him was The Running Man. Doesn't take place in Maine. So I feel like, and there's even a town called Derry. At one point, you're like, oh, Derry. But yeah, so it's the first time that I read about, in English, a book about Maine. People, or a story taking place in Maine. And it's still fun. Half the people have French last name. And it's just so great. I don't know. I find it cute. That's all. But I'm probably the only one who would find it cute. But I find it cute. So there you go. It's a big, sprawling story that takes place on a small setting with few people, and then yet is epic in its grandeur, and you will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed. And I'm so excited by the TV series. So there you go. Have you read Under the Dome? What did you think? Are you excited for the TV series? Leave it in the comments. If you have any other suggestions, leave them as well. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, take care. Bye.